The boys jumped up noticing that something was off about Jin-Woo's face. "What's going on?" they asked, but Jin-Woo didn't say a word. Everyone in the cafe was staring at them now. Jin-Woo held up a spoon, and the boys looked at it in confusion. Then he started squeezing it, and the spoon began to bend and twist out of shape. The color drained from the boys' faces as they watched in shock. Take's eyes widened as he realized that the thing rolling around on the table wasn't a spoon anymore. A crushed ball of steel lay on the table. "Whoa!" someone exclaimed, swallowing hard.
This was not normal.
Jin-Woo was a hunter. After all. The boys exchanged nervous glances, and then the one who had thrown the napkin at Jin-Woo spoke up. He bowed his head and said, "I'm really sorry." The other boys followed his lead, bowing and apologizing too. "We made a mistake. We're so sorry," they repeated, their faces pale. They bowed several more times before turning and running out of the cafe. With the girls, the other customers let out a sigh of relief. Those loud teenagers had been disturbing everyone. Jin-Woo sat back down, calm once again. Jin-Yo looked up at Jin-Woo with total admiration in his eyes. "You're so cool," he exclaimed. But Jin-Woo wasn't having it. "Forget about that," he said. "Getting back to business. What's going on? Why did you want to talk to me?" Jin-Yo hesitated, then spoke up. "I've been thinking about this a lot. Over and over. I really need to tell you something." "Boss." Jin-Woo raised an eyebrow, curious about what Jin-Yo had to say. Jin-Yo's face turned bright red as he tried to get the words out. He looked really shy but finally found the courage to speak up. "Actually, I want to create a special team," he said. Before Jin-Yo could even finish, Jin-Woo responded quickly. "No thanks." Jin-Yo's eyes widened in surprise. "Boss, you're not even listening to my idea," he exclaimed. Jin-Woo was firm in his decision. "I don't need to hear any more," he said. It wasn't that Jin-Woo didn't like Jin-Yo. He seemed like a nice guy, even if he was a bit weird. Jin-Yo also appeared to be very loyal, which was a good quality. Jin-Woo wasn't like the super rich people you see on TV. He didn't care about acting fancy or impressing anyone. When a younger guy started begging him to go hunting again, Jin-Woo got annoyed. "If you don't have anything else to say, I'm out of here," he said, standing up to leave. The little guy panicked and grabbed Jin-Woo's arm. "Boss, wait, just 20 times. Okay, please come with me, 19 more times." Jin-Woo raised an eyebrow. "Where are we even going?" "Dungeons," Jin-Woo asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes, I'll pay you really well," Jin-Woo replied, sounding super desperate. Jin-Woo tilted his head, curious. Most people become hunters for two reasons: to make a lot of money, or because they feel like it's their duty. But Jin-Woo didn't seem to care about either of those things. Maybe he thought being a hunter was just an exciting adventure with a bit more risk. That's what Jin-Woo thought Jin-Woo was all about, someone who loved the thrill of the hunt, like an extreme sport with extra danger thrown in. Jin-Yo's idea to form a strike squad caught Jin-Woo off guard. Hadn't they just had a crazy adventure in that dungeon? But Jin-Yo was dead serious. Maybe some rich kids were just born with a thirst for danger. Yet there was something about Jin-Yo's determined gaze that made it hard to write him off as just another thrill-seeking brat. Was he hiding something? Jin-Woo's mind started racing when Jin-Yo mentioned 19 times. What did he mean by that? He wasn't really thinking about the reward money. It was this other number that had his attention. Wait a minute. If their last adventure was Jin-Yo's first, and now he's asking Jin-Woo to do 19 more. No way. That sounded like a recipe for disaster. Jin-Woo's eyes widened in shock as he figured out what was going on. He looked like he couldn't believe it. "Wait, are you trying to get a guild master's license?" he asked. The other guy nodded enthusiastically. Yes. Jin-Woo was glad he hadn't gotten his coffee yet. He would have spit it out all over the place. "You want to be in charge of a whole guild?" he exclaimed. The other guy, Jin-Yo, turned bright red and said, "It's just that. It's kind of complicated." He looked even more embarrassed than before. "Please, just listen to me, boss," Jin-Woo said. After a moment of silence, his curiosity got the better of him, and he sat back down. "Okay, fine, I'll hear you out." He had already given Jin-Ho an hour of his time, so he might as well listen to what he had to say. Jin-Ho quickly sat back down across from Jin-Woo, looking relieved. "Like you said, I want to get a guildmaster's license," he began. Getting a guildmaster's license wasn't actually that hard. Imagine you want to become a hunter. First you have to go on at least 20 raids. After that you can take a simple written test and get your license. It's kind of like getting a driver's license. But instead of driving a car, you're hunting. Now, let's talk about guilds. A guild is like a team, and it needs a good leader called a guild master. If the guild master isn't very good at what they do, nobody will want to join their team. And if the team doesn't have enough members, it will fall apart. Jin-Woo kept explaining. Get ready for some big news. My dad is planning something huge, but it's still a secret. He wants to start a guild. You won't believe which company is behind this idea. Eugene Construction. They're one of the top construction companies in Korea, and they've been growing super fast by expanding into new areas. Recently, they even made a ton of money by getting into businesses related to hunters. Now, it looks like they want to take it to the next level by starting their own guild. Jin-Woo was really excited to share more details with me, because I seemed interested. Eugene Construction has already done so well, so it's crazy to think about what they could accomplish with their own guild. My dad has a big idea. He wants to start a huge guild that's made up of super strong hunters. He also wants the guild to be in charge of all the businesses that have to do with hunting. If any company wants to get into the hunting business, they need to work with a guild. That's because big guilds are necessary for getting really valuable treasures from special gates. These gates are ranked A or B, and they hold amazing things like essence stones, magic beast remains, and mana stones. My dad's plan is to create a company that can take care of itself. That's right, boss. His assistant agreed. Luckily Eugene Construction has the money to make this happen, so forming its own guild shouldn't be a problem. The big issue was who would be in charge, Jin-Woo explained. My dad wants to run the guild like a business. He thinks we should hire a super strong S-rank hunter as the boss and make my older brother the second in command. Jin-Woo quickly figured out what Jin-Woo was getting at. If they set up the guild that way, it would be a recipe for disaster. Imagine being in charge of a whole group, where you get to make the big decisions. That's what it means to be a guild master. You're the boss. Even if someone else hired you for the job, once you're in charge you've got the power. If there's ever a disagreement, you could take control and do things your way. So how can the person who hired you make sure you don't turn against them? The answer is simple. Choose a guild master who is trustworthy and loyal. Someone who will always have their back. Imagine having a family member who's really good at what they do. For Chairman Myung-kan Yu, that person was his son Jin-Woo. But here's the thing. Jin-Woo had an older brother who was already super successful. He was 31 years old and made a lot of money for their company with his idea to get into businesses related to hunters. Jin-Woo, on the other hand, was just 22 years old and still in university. Even though he had developed some cool abilities as a D-rank hunter, he wasn't exactly a big deal yet. His brother was already a well-known businessman, so Jin-Woo thought it would be tough for him to become the leader of their guild. The chairman really wanted his older son to take charge, and it seemed like that's what would happen. Jin-Woo's brother wasn't a hunter, so he couldn't be the guild master, but he knew the business inside and out, and had already shown he was capable. The chairman was willing to take a chance on him. Jin-Woo asked, "You want to convince your dad to make you the guild master, right?" Jin-Woo nodded. "Yes, that's right, boss." It made sense why Jin-Woo wanted Jin-Woo involved in his plan. He really needed his help to make it happen. Imagine Jin-Woo hiring a top-notch hunter, and suddenly becoming the guild master. It would look like he just bought his way to the top. But what if he teamed up with Jin-Woo, a hunter who seems pretty average? If Jin-Woo could get the license while working with Jin-Woo, it might just change his father's mind. His dad would see that Jin-Woo has what it takes to lead the hunters. That was Jin-Woo's plan all along. Once he's in charge, he'd find an incredibly talented S-rank hunter to be his vice master, and recruit other skilled hunters to join the guild. Imagine a super strong guild where everyone feels safe and wants to join. For that to happen, the leader or their second in command needs to be really powerful. Jin-Woo had a plan to make this happen. He just needed to finish 20 tough raids. He begged his boss for help. "Please help me, boss. You're my only hope." Jin-Woo was really grateful to Jin-Woo, who had saved him from disaster on his very first raid. If it wasn't for Jin-Woo, things could have gone terribly wrong, and Jin-Woo might not have made it out alive. Something weird happened. Twice. First the spider did it, and then Dong-suk followed. Jin-Woo needed someone he could really trust. He thought to himself, "I can count on this guy." Jin-Woo was an amazing hunter who could take down his enemies without even flinching. But what made him special was that he was fair, and didn't pick on people who were weaker than him. He only took what he deserved. Jin-Woo thought Jin-Woo would be the perfect partner for his plans. The problem was, Jin-Woo didn't need Jin-Woo's help. Jin-Woo asked, "What's in it for me?" Jin-Woo's face lit up with hope as he pulled out a big envelope. Inside, Jin-Woo found a blueprint of a building. Jin-Woo handed it to him and said, "This is the new headquarters we're building for our guild. It's gonna be worth a whopping 30 trillion won. Having a guild or association branch nearby was a big deal. Sometimes magical creatures could escape from dungeons, even with the association in charge of the gates. That's why people wanted to live near a guild. It meant they'd be safe. Even a small guild in the area could protect the people living there. Imagine a powerful guild was right next door. That would be a game changer." Jin-Woo's eyes sparkled as he made a deal. "If I become the leader of this guild, I'll use the building for just 1 year until everything is running smoothly. Then, I'll hand over the ownership to you, and we'll make it official with a notary so nobody can argue about it later." It was a crazy offer, a building worth 30 trillion won in exchange for completing 19 raids as a C-rank team. Jin-Woo couldn't help but grin at the thought. "Is it a win for you as long as you're in charge of the guild?" "That's right, boss." Jin-Woo learned a lot from his first raid. He realized that anything can happen inside a dungeon. If he hires a hunter who isn't very good, it could be disastrous. But if he hires a super famous hunter, his dad might not trust him to make good decisions. Jin-Woo was different though. Imagine a hunter who's still a beginner, but he just beat a super tough C-rank boss and took down several other strong hunters without getting hurt. This guy must be ridiculously powerful, probably even stronger than a B-rank hunter. If Jin-Woo was on your team, you could easily win 19 battles against C-rank foes. Being the guildmaster would be an amazing job, and it's worth a whopping 30 trillion won. All Jin-Woo needed was for Jin-Woo to say yes. Would Jin-Woo really turn down such an incredible offer? Jin-Woo nervously glanced over at Jin-Woo, wondering what he'd decide. Jin-Woo's mind was a million miles away trying to wrap his head around an insane number. 30 trillion won. To put that into perspective, the biggest lottery prize was only 1.5 billion won. You'd have to win the lottery a whopping 20 times in a row to even get close to that amount. And the craziest part, the value of the building would just keep going up and up. Imagine getting offered a deal that's too good to pass up. Most hunters would jump at the chance, but Jin-Woo is different. He's one of a kind, the only hunter who can make his powers even stronger. If he keeps taking on quests and leveling up, he could become an S-rank hunter, or maybe even something more amazing. If Jin-Woo reaches Cis rank or higher, 30 trillion won wouldn't be a big deal to him. Top hunters like that can get contracts worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Even famous celebrities and athletes don't get paid as much as S-rank hunters do when they sign big deals. In this world, a country's strength was determined by the number of top-notch hunters it had. Being an S-rank hunter was like being a superstar. Everyone knew your name and looked up to you. For Jin-Woo, getting stronger was his main goal right now, not making money. He found that leveling up on his own was way easier. When he hunted alone, he could focus better and get more experience. If he hunted with others, he'd get less experience and feel like he's being watched all the time, which made things harder. Jin-Woo didn't want to scare Jin-Woo, but he had to make sure the new hunter wouldn't cause trouble later. Plus, scheduling was going to be a hassle. It seemed like more trouble than it was worth. Jin-Woo thought, "I can always make money some other time." He was about to say no, when something clicked in his mind. What if he could solve 2 problems at once? A sly idea formed in his head. He looked up at Jin-Woo, who was practically trembling with tension. Jin-Woo spoke up, choosing his words carefully. "I have one condition," he said. Jin-Woo's face lit up with excitement. "Anything you want, boss," he replied. But would he still be smiling after hearing Jin-Woo's plan? Jin-Woo had to hold back a grin. "Only you and I will go in," he said. Jin-Woo looked surprised. "Pardon?" he asked, stumbling over his words. "Boss, sorry, but did I hear that right? You're saying we'll clear C-rank dungeons, just the 2 of us?" Jin-Woo nodded. "Exactly." Jin-Woo's face turned pale, but Jin-Woo wasn't worried. After all, he had beaten a tough spider boss by himself. He was confident that he could handle the tough parts, and Jin-Woo could focus on supporting him. Jin-Woo's breath caught in his throat as he pictured just the 2 of them standing near the gate entrance when the swarm of bugs attacked. He was totally speechless. Jin-Woo's face showed that he had expected Jin-Woo to react this way, but Jin-Woo thought this was still the best plan. It would solve 2 problems at once, making it a pretty smart move. Joining a strike squad wasn't easy, especially when you're an E-rank hunter like Jin-Woo. He learned this the hard way on his first day of trying to make some money. His options were limited. He could either give up working alone or start his own team. Luckily, Jin-Ho stepped in and offered to assemble a team himself. This could be just the break Jin-Woo needed. But then someone spoke up. But, to tackle a C-rank dungeon, we need at least 10 members. Jin-Ho had a clever response. If you pay people just to fill spots, you'll have a line of people waiting to join. It seemed they would have to come up with a sneaky plan, like something Dong-suk would do. Imagine being a hunter, but not wanting to risk your life in battles. Some hunters were desperate for cash, so they applied for a special job with a fiery passion in their eyes. Jin-Ho looked like he was about to get sick just thinking about it. You're not saying we have to kill every single monster and boss all by ourselves? He asked, horrified. Jin-Ho would be doing all the hard work. But Jin-Ho's concern was valid. That's exactly what I'm saying, came the reply. This plan had its perks. Jin-Woo wouldn't miss out on any valuable experience. And he wouldn't have to worry about anyone else's safety, since it would just be him and Jin-Woo. Maybe this would be the push. Jin-Woo needed to level up fast. And when all the raids were over, having an awesome building would be the ultimate reward. Now all Jin-Woo had to do was convince Jin-Woo to go along with the plan. Jin-Woo thought the young man would be really nervous about his idea. But wouldn't that be too dangerous, boss? He asked. Jin-Woo said, you have to think about both sides of the story. The young man looked confused, so Jin-Woo waved him over to come closer. Jin-Woo leaned in, curious. Jin-Woo explained, if it's just us two hunting, then nobody will get hurt, as long as we're both safe. Right? Jin-Woo nodded slowly. Right. Jin-Woo reminded him, you were just along for the ride on our first raid, so you couldn't do anything to stop the accident that happened. Imagine completing 19 raids without a single injury. Jin-Woo's eyes went wide with excitement. That would be a huge accomplishment. If they could pull it off, it would be way easier to convince his dad that he's serious about being a hunter. Just think about it. After D-rank hunter on his resume, he could add strike squad leader, who led 19 raids in a row, without any accidents. That would make him a total rock star, and more than qualified to run a guild. Jin-Woo couldn't help but smile as he watched Jin-Woo's reactions. This was exactly what he wanted to see. His partner was totally on board. Jin-Woo was the one who really needed this plan to work. Without Jin-Woo, Jin-Woo wouldn't have a chance at getting the good stuff from the mystery boxes or raiding dungeons. But with Jin-Woo's skills, Jin-Woo had a lot to gain if they succeeded. Jin-Woo's combat abilities were amazing, and that made Jin-Woo feel better about taking the risk. He took a deep breath, pushed aside his fears, and made the call. Let's do this, boss, he said, ready to move forward with the plan. I'll find the team members, Jin-Woo said with a nod. Jin-Woo smiled, feeling more at ease. He was still a bit nervous around Jin-Woo, but he knew they were on the same page. With Jin-Woo by his side, Jin-Woo felt like he could tackle anything. The boss has my back, he thought, feeling a sense of relief. He wasn't worried about future raids anymore. Jin-Woo was someone he could trust, and with his help, forming a strong team would be a breeze. Jin-Woo's plan was pretty sweet, and Jin-Woo knew people would jump at the chance to join their squad. This was a big step towards his dream of becoming a guild master. Jin-Woo grinned, thinking about how he could already take down C-rank dungeons on his own, and level up fast. Both of them left the cafe looking happy and satisfied. After saying goodbye to Jin-Woo, Jin-Woo ran home. He didn't know when the association would call him, so he wanted to be ready. It had been over 10 days since he left the hospital, which meant a gate could open up at any moment. Usually the association called on hunters like him a few times a month to take care of gates in the area. That's why he only gave Jin-Woo an hour. He was waiting for a call from the association that could come at any time. He didn't care if it was a super easy dungeon. He just wanted to fight some beasts and level up faster. Not having a cell phone was really inconvenient. He was getting a brand new one in just a few days, so that was something to look forward to. He walked into his apartment and it was super quiet. Since it was a weekday, his sister was at school. As soon as he made sure no one was home, he opened the daily quest screen on his device. Time to collect today's rewards. He had actually finished the quest earlier before hanging out with Jin-Woo, but he hadn't grabbed his rewards yet, because there were too many people around. Jin-Woo didn't want anyone to see the weird blue light surrounding his body or the gift boxes suddenly appearing on the street. Suddenly he heard a ping, and a message popped up in front of him. It said he had completed his daily strength training quest by doing 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 squats. He even ran 11 kilometers, which was more than the 10 kilometers he was supposed to do. At first Jin-Woo was about to check his rewards out of habit, but then he stopped himself when he noticed something weird. His eyes landed on the running part of the message. Running 10 kilometers, completed 11:10. His first thought was, hey, I ran an extra kilometer. But then he realized something wasn't quite right. The message asked him, would you like to check your rewards? And Jin-Woo was about to say yes, but instead he said, no. Something had caught his attention, and now he was curious. Something didn't feel right. Why was it still counting after Jin-Woo reached his goal? He squinted, wondering if it was just a coincidence. To test it out, Jin-Woo dropped to the floor and started doing push-up after push-up. His eyes stayed fixed on the screen as he exercised. Suddenly, a message popped up. You have completed 1 push-up. Push-ups 100 times. Completed 11,100. Another one quickly followed. You have completed 1 push-up. Push-ups 100 times. Completed 11,100. That's what Jin-Woo had suspected. The counter didn't just keep going when he was running. It happened with other exercises too. Jin-Woo's push-up counter was keeping track of all the extra reps he was doing. He started to wonder, just how high could the numbers go? His arms were getting pretty intense, veins were popping out everywhere. But even with all that effort, Jin-Woo felt super light, like he weighed nothing at all. His strength had increased so much that his body felt as light as a feather. Before he knew it, the count jumped from around 100 to 200 in no time. Ping! The counter announced, you have completed 1 push-up. Push-ups 100 times. Completed 200. It said this again and again. Ping! You have completed 1 push-up. Push-ups 100 times. Completed 200. Finally, the count stopped at 200. He tried and tried, but no matter what, he just couldn't get past a certain point. For sit-ups, squats and push-ups, the magic number was 200. He could do 100 easily, but somehow he always landed on 200 when he was done. It was weird. He could do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 squats, and they all added up to 200. Even when he ran 10 kilometers, something strange happened. His total ended up being just a little more than he expected, but still somehow connected to that number too. It was as if something was controlling how far he could go. The count wouldn't keep going forever, and it wouldn't stop at 100. It always landed exactly on 200. Something mysterious was definitely going on. Jin-Woo had a feeling that something cool might happen. If he pushed himself to the limit, he wondered, what would happen if he went all out? There was only one way to find out. Jin-Woo took off like a shot, and ran 9 more kilometers. When he finally got back to his apartment building, his phone buzzed with a message. Ping! He had completed a secret quest called Strength Training. The message said he had rewards waiting for him. Did he want to check them out? Jin-Woo's heart was racing as he thought about what the rewards could be. He had been right to think that something would change if he hit all the counter limits. Jin-Woo took a deep breath and clicked check. Ping! A new message popped up, listing his rewards. What did he get? The message read, you have the following rewards. Reward 1. Jin-Woo's eyes widened in amazement as he stared at the rewards. They were incredibly high, just what he'd expect for completing a secret quest. The best part. He got 3 points to add to every single one of his abilities. That was like leveling up 3 times all at once. He had 2 mystery boxes to choose from, the Blessed Mystery Box and the Cursed Mystery Box. But first he had to decide if he wanted to accept all the rewards. The big question was, would he take them all? The offer was simple, 3 points for all his abilities. It was a deal that seemed too good to pass up.